Hi everyone, and welcome back to my third and final installment of my infertility journey. If you haven't watched videos 1 and 2 yet, I will try to make sure those get linked in the description down below so you can watch those first. Otherwise, I'm just going to jump right in where we left off. In the last video, I talked about how my doctor had just diagnosed me with PCOS and gave me several options for ways to treat my PCOS to still get pregnant. But because I'm stubborn and because I wanted to prove my own body and my doctor wrong, I decided I was going to do it alone and I was going to go the natural route first. To be fair, I was still only 25 years old. I didn't feel like my biological clock was ticking or that I was running out of time. So I really felt like I owed it to myself to see if these natural ways would work. And there were a lot of options out there. I immediately started doing research, and there were blogs and articles and YouTube videos full of people with different things that they had tried that had worked for them. So I started giving a bunch of them a shot. I went on probably half a dozen or so PCOS diets, including at one point going all organic, and I mean all organic, because we all know that there are hormones that are injected to a lot of our farm animals to keep them healthier or bigger or more productive or whatever it is. But those hormones don't just seep into the meat, they also seep into all the dairy, the eggs, all the other animal byproducts. And on top of that, all of our fruits and vegetables are sprayed down with herbicides and pesticides that are full of chemicals that can affect our hormones. And all of our cleaning supplies and laundry detergents have chemicals that can seep in and affect your hormones as well. So I went all organic, and it was not easy. It was expensive, and the closest store to me that sold organic products was a good 30-plus minute drive away. So it was an hour of just driving time to go grocery shopping. So grocery shopping became a whole process. I had to plan ahead when I would have time to drive to the store, get all the things I needed, and drive all the way home. I also had to be careful what I bought there because I knew that it wouldn't be refrigerated for at least 30 minutes because I had to drive 30 minutes home. It was a process, and it was hard, and it didn't last because it was too much. But for several months, that was my go-to treatment, I guess, for my PCOS. And I did stay on top of it pretty regularly for several months. On top of that, I wasn't overweight, but I knew I was carrying a few extra pounds. So I did my best to start a really intense exercise regimen to lose that weight, and I did. And then I started a yoga regimen, not just for the exercise, but more so for the meditative side of things. I knew that stress hormones could prevent pregnancy, and so in order to prevent myself from being overly stressed and to get a kind of control on my emotions, I thought yoga would be a good way to manage all of that and become a little more equanimous. So I was doing yoga regularly as well. On top of diet and exercise, I also tried a lot of other little tips and tricks, a lot of different vitamins and supplements, a lot of different teas that were meant to help you get pregnant easier. I tried oils. There were so many different ideas of things to try, and I was willing to try them all. However, none of them worked, at least for me. And I'm not saying that they don't work for anyone. I'm just saying that I tried them and it didn't help me get pregnant. I tried them for a while, actually. My diagnosis was in January of 2016, and I tried them through September of 2018. So just over 2.5 years of trying these natural remedies, and I still had no baby to show for it. However, what I did have to show for it is I definitely felt like I was at peace with where I was at. I wasn't happy about where I was at. I definitely still wanted to be a mother. I still wanted a baby. But I felt at peace. I felt like maybe just the timing was off, that I still had a lot of time left. I still had a lot of family and friends who weren't trying to have babies yet. And so maybe by the time they were ready to start families, I would finally be able to start my family and my kids would have kids to grow up with and play with, which I thought would be actually really fun. So when people did tell me that they were pregnant and things like that, I actually genuinely felt happy and excited for them. That is until September of 2018. Last September, someone I was very close to let me know that they and their boyfriend of only a few months were expecting a baby. It wasn't planned. It was definitely a surprise. And they were excited about it. They couldn't wait to meet their little baby. And don't get me wrong, they weren't upset about the baby. They were excited. But I was upset. I immediately felt all the negative emotions that I thought I had gotten rid of come flooding back in an instant. I was so angry that this person was able to get pregnant, not only without planning, but without even trying or wanting to. She just was able to get pregnant like it was nothing. And here I had been trying for 4 years. I had been killing myself with these diets and these exercises and these supplements. And here I couldn't get pregnant. No matter how hard I tried, no matter how much I wanted it. I was so angry that she had that ability and I didn't. I was so jealous that this person who hadn't been planning and preparing for years was getting thrown into motherhood and I wasn't. I was so, I don't even know how to describe it other than I kind of wanted to punch her in the face. I was so mad and sad and angry and jealous and all of these emotions. And I honestly lost it. I got to a really dark place, to the point where I thought, I give up. I'm done. I'm never going to be able to be a mom. I'm never going to live this dream. I'm holding my husband back. I'm holding my parents back. I'm holding my siblings back. All of those feelings of being a failure to them, they came flooding back. And now I felt like I was holding them back from some joy. Like they were gonna be better off without me. Oh, sorry. This was genuinely my darkest point. Because I really felt like, what was the point? Why try? I even got to the point where I looked around and I looked at everything that I had gotten ready for this family I was never going to have. And I thought, my entire life has been a lie. It's been a joke. And I honestly thought about just ending it. Because I didn't know if I could or if I wanted to keep going. And it felt like such a disappointment and a failure to everyone around me that I thought they would all be better off. Oh. And I mentioned these feelings to my husband, and luckily he was able to talk me down. And he convinced me that he needed me. And even if we never had kids and we never had a family, I mattered to him and I needed to keep going, even if it was just for him. And I know that sounds like a weird thing to say, but it's what I needed to hear at the moment, because I really felt like I was holding him back. So to hear him say that he needed me it gave me the will to keep going. And after we got a handle on all of those emotions, we decided it was time to stop being stubborn and acting like I could do this on my own. I needed help. If I was going to get pregnant, I needed an intervention. And so after a lot of discussion and a cooling off period in November of 2018, we started doing our first round of Clomid. And the Clomid was really easy to do. It was $13 a month to get the prescription filled. I only had to take the pill for 5 days. And when I went back into the doctor in November to see if the Clomid had worked at the lowest dosage, they said, good news, you are ovulating. The pill is working. So I got excited because I thought, I'm ovulating. I haven't ovulated in 5 years. I'm ovulating on the lowest dose. I am going to get pregnant this time around. So November, I tried to get pregnant. No luck. No pregnancy. But it was okay. Because what are the odds that you get pregnant the first month on a fertility drug? Pretty slim to none. So I wasn't stressing about it. December, took my Clomid, tried to get pregnant, no luck. January was my last month on Clomid for a minute. I took the Clomid, we tried to get pregnant, and I got my period in February. And this was a really hard blow to take because the last time that I called my prescription into the doctor's office, the nurse told me that this would be my last month on Clomid. And if this didn't work, I needed to look at other options. And to be honest, I need to call my doctor and clarify because I thought we were going to try to do Clomid on a higher dosage if the lowest dosage didn't work. So I thought I was going to let my body rest for a few months and then try again. But she made it sound like I have to look into other options. So it was really disappointing when it didn't work because I thought, was this my last chance? Was this my opportunity to get pregnant and somehow I missed it? So it was kind of another low blow. It was hard to take. But it's been a few months and I've been able to kind of dwell on what my options are and make a plan for the future. And I know that I am meant to be a mom. I know that this is going to happen. It just may have to happen in a different way. So there's a few different options for us from here. One option is to do something called an IUI. To be honest, I applaud everyone who puts the money into it and it works for, but in my mind, reading what an IUI is, it sounds like a doctor is doing exactly what we're trying to do at home. I'm just doing it in a doctor's office instead. They're basically taking my husband's spunk and turkey bastering it into me, which is essentially what I'm doing here. So I don't want to spend hundreds of dollars to do that. Another option is IVF, or in vitro fertilization. For those of you who don't know what in vitro is, it's the test tube babies, where they mix my egg and Bob's sperm together and then they put the created embryos inside of me, hoping they'll implant. And I know people that this has worked for. I have met the people who have had success stories with IVF. I think that's great for them. But the cheapest I could find it was $10,000. And in vitro has a success rate of 40%. 40%. I cannot reason spending $10,000 on a 40% chance. If it was a 100% chance, absolutely, I will find the money and I will do it. But for a 40% chance, on top of the financial blow it would take, it would be physically and emotionally draining. I just can't raise an IVF. So in my mind, it's not an option. Another option that people have brought up is adoption. And the main thing people think of with adoption is pregnant teenager hands their baby over to two loving parents who can take care of it better than they could. And I think it's great that these pregnant moms who know that they can't give their baby a great home yet are willing to give their babies to families that will. And I think it's great that these families will take these babies that aren't biologically theirs and treat them as they are their own. I think that's a great thing, but it's also expensive and it feels dirty. Like I'm buying a baby instead of just doing a good thing of giving a baby a home. I feel like I'm buying a baby, like you would buy a dog or you would buy a couch. And it just doesn't feel right to me. It doesn't feel like the right fit. So, if the doctor doesn't let us do more infertility drugs, if we're not able to continue doing Clomid cycles or another fertility drug, I'm not stuck on just doing Clomid, but if we're unable to continue the fertility drugs, I think we've seriously considered doing foster to adopt. I know that there are a lot of challenges in doing foster to adopt. I understand that you don't get to go and pick a baby, and a baby doesn't pick you. You get assigned children based off of need. These kids need a home, and you've got a home, so you're going to get these kids. I understand that these kids are coming from difficult situations and have probably received some trauma. I understand that that's difficult for them to understand and to manage, and so some of these kids may act out or have lasting mental or emotional difficulties. But I genuinely thought about it, and I thought, what is the number one thing the foster kids need? They need a loving home. What is the number one thing I want to provide for a child? A loving home. So with that said, my husband and I, we are going to talk to the doctor's office, see if we can continue our fertility drugs, and if that's not an option, I think our next step is going to be to call the foster care program, get our house taken care of, take the courses, and see if we can build our family that way. And it's going to be a long road ahead. But I think if I end up being able to be a mom and to give these kids a loving home and provide for them the way that they need and they've never had before, it's going to be worth it. So, with that said, like I said, the future is not decided. I don't know where we're going from here for sure, but if you've ever done foster care yourself, if you've ever done foster to adopt, if you've been in foster care and you were adopted or you went through the system and you have advice or thoughts, please leave those in the comments down below so that I can be better educated on the whole process. And if you enjoyed this video, if you want to see more videos like this where I talk about personal journeys that I've gone through or have been going through, please hit the like button down below so I know that you want to see more videos like this. And of course, hit the subscribe button and the little bell notification so that you can stay notified when I post. Thanks for watching, guys.